to Tea Time with T and H.
Hey.
Today's guest, I have Hayley Kelly. Welcome, Hayley.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yay! Today's
Yay.
chapter 29, Breaking Isolation with Miss Hayley Kelly. Like I said, today she's going to kind of share with us in regards to what that means. What does that mean when you become isolated from, your friends, your family, the people you love? And it can literally, anyone could put you in isolation. You could put yourself into it. But she's going to go ahead and share her journey with that. But first, before we do that, let's do my famous cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Moroccan mint.
Yes. So today I am actually drinking my favorite drink and my only drink that I drink at Starbucks, which is the mango dragon fruit.
Ooh.
It's very little caffeine, and with my anxiety, I can't really have caffeine. But like on my filming days, I have to always make sure I have it to make sure I'm alert. So that is what I'm sipping on today. Hayley, what are you drinking?
You were way smarter than me. I probably should be drinking coffee in this right now or something else. I'm drinking Moroccan mint tea.
Ooh,
refreshing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have caffeine in it. I need a little caffeine. I'm not gonna lie. Hanging in there.
Well, hopefully by the end of this, you can get some of my energy onto you. The camera lens.
I'll take it.
And it's ready to go. But I love your mug. I love that lavender. So
thank you. The H. What's that? It's hand painted. No, it's not. Funny story. I never received my mug, and so I made a mug. Beautiful.
And
like it's a sticker.
And from here, you will never be able to know. And cheers to you for being creative and getting it done. And it looks adorable. Like I should start doing that just so I can have more mugs.
Just spice it up a little. You can choose whatever font you want. It's great. I'll make you one.
Me too. All right. So just to kind of give everyone a little backstory, some history on me and Hayley. We actually worked together at Disneyland and
Yay.
Did a flashback together back. Oh my God. I don't know.
Gosh, when was that? 2012, 13?
Yeah, a long time ago. But sadly, her and I were not friends at that time in our lives.
We're not.
And then Hayley was one of my trainers, one of my veteran trainers, and her and I got super close. And I've told Hayley this before, but one of the things that I love most about her is she's so cool, calm, and collected. And even on the most stressful days of training, mind you, every day was stressful for me. Hayley was always so calm and cool and had this amazing head on her shoulders. And I feel like I've never known anyone as compassionate and loving and patient as this woman right here. And I love you. I respect you. You know that I've told you 1,000 times.
You're so wonderful.
I'm so honored to have you on my tea time. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I felt like really honored that you would think I had a story to share that would, touch your viewers.
Yeah.
Help people out.
So you want to go ahead and share how you broke isolation?
Yeah, I think what I should start out with is maybe a little backstory, because a lot of things happened to get me to a point to realize that I was isolated, or isolating myself, I should say. A couple of years ago, my mom had passed away, which will just rock your world. You'll never be ready for it. So it puts a lot of things in perspective. It took me a while, though, to kind of get things into perspective. So after my mom passed, obviously trying to deal with what that means as a 32-year-old, 30-something-year-old. And what does that mean now for my dad? I became really focused on my father. And because my mom had done every single little thing for him in his life, a little backstory on him is he struggles with mental illness problems. So he's manic depressive. He's struggled with alcoholism. He's struggled with taking prescription drugs, and he's overcome those things as far as addiction goes. He still struggles every day with his depression, though, so much so to where he is on disability. He can't function in a normal job, in a normal life setting. So, watching my mom take care of him for so many years, she did everything for him. She took care of the finances, organized that. She'd take care of the meals. She'd make sure, he had clothes to wear. She did everything. She was a superwoman. And I always looked up to her for that.
You realize,
Uh,
Hayley, did you realize how much your mom had done while she was still with us?
I had no idea. I always knew she was just such like a kind and caring person, and she'd do anything if anyone needed help. But I didn't realize to the extent of how much she gave of herself to other people. And I think that goes into my next part is realizing that yes, that can be a very honorable characteristic to want to help people and be there for people, but at the same time she, I think, kind of lost herself and put so much into others that she forgot about what she needs and what makes her happy and living her own life. And I think ultimately that is kind of what took her life is the stress of taking care of everyone around her, having everything perfect, being on top of it, and then not taking a step back and focusing on herself and what she needed. And what I learned from that is there needs to be healthy boundaries because after she passed away, I tried to step into her role, which initially, it was needed. My dad was completely done. They were married since they were 20, so he really didn't know how to do life without her. So I stepped into her role a bit, took over their finances, organized that, made sure the bills were paid, made sure he was getting all of his medications, making sure he was eating, buying his groceries, and doing all that from Orange County when he's living up in Northern California. So doing all that and trying to live my own life, I kind of put myself on the back seat there, like my mom did.
Well, and you're trying to grieve your mother's passing too, while you're trying to be strong for your father. Do you have any other siblings? Are you an only child?
I do. I do have an older brother, and he's been amazing. We're very different people, so we deal with things very differently. He's kind of one that will just compartmentalize and just kind of shut down, until he figures it out. So he definitely helped where he could, and he stepped up in ways that I couldn't. But there's definitely, I think I'm definitely the sibling that was always going to be the one to take over and kind of direct where things should go for my dad. That's just how my personality is, I think.
Well, and us as women, we naturally have this motherly instinct in us.
Mhm.
Even for you and I who aren't moms, we're moms, but it's kind of comes natural to us to care for people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point too. Just yeah, that nurturing, I don't know what you want to call it, but the nurturing aspect to being a woman, I think really kicked in. Seeing someone that I love, you know, his whole world crumbling. Okay, how do I fix this? How do I fix this right away? To the best of my ability. And I think in that, I lost myself definitely. I was just focused on making him happy, but also um, that kind of played a part into the rest of my life too. That mentality of how do I fix it? How do I keep things good and happy and together, like my mom always would, kind of played a part in my relationships, in my job, and how I approach people. I would just try and take control and make sure everything was perfect for everyone else. Everyone else was happy, and put myself on the back burner, which definitely came to a head during the pandemic. When the pandemic started, um, I'd try and function the way that I was, keeping people in my life happy, taking care of my dad, going to work, both jobs, but I mean, I guess not Disney after a while. But just trying to keep it together. And the pandemic, as awful as it was the best thing that happened to me in my life, because it really made me take a step back and look at, okay, who am I? Like, what am I doing with my life? Is this the life that I want to lead? Am I okay with constantly being the person that's going to take care of everything? And that's like it's a really lonely place to be in, because you don't leave room for anyone else to step up and help you or be your partner,
Well, then you get so consumed with helping multiple people that, like, you stated over and over again, you forget about yourself. What about, getting your hair done or your nails done? Yeah, to some
Yeah.
people, realistic things, but that's ways that we can pamper ourselves and put that self-love in. Or even as small as, I know you love doing hikes now. I mean, you didn't even think twice about that 2 years ago, or even a year ago. And it's true, because you're so focused on, okay, what's next? And your what's next is what's next to help someone, not what's next can I do to better my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. That's exactly, where it's at now. And through the pandemic and realizing these things, I took a look around at my life and realized just how sad it kind of was. Like, not, I kind of sad. It made me sad to look at my life and realize, okay, you have gotten yourself to a point where, your whole life is taking care of somebody else. You have not lost all your friends, but I definitely lost contact with my friends for years, just watching them grow as people through Facebook and Instagram. That was the main connection I had with them, watching my friends move forward from Disney and get married, and some are having babies now. And we were discussing this a couple days ago, but the aha moment for me was one day just sitting there and realizing I'm missing out on my friends' lives. I'm missing out on my life. If I continue to live like this, I'm going to end up, like my mom, stressed and living for other people. And at that point, I finally realized, okay, either I can continue this way, and this is how, my life is going to be, or I can take the harder route and stop everything and refocus and decide what exactly is important to me in my life. And what I've figured out so far is, sorry, there's a little emoji coming up. What I figured out so far right now is, one, I need to set healthy boundaries with relationships that I have in my life. Meaning, especially with my dad, if there's a problem, I can do only so much, but I can't be your sole source of every answer. I can't be the one that fixes everything. I can help you to a point, but there needs to be a point in the other side of the relationship where the person takes care of themselves too.
I think what becomes hard too, especially, you and I were talking about being empaths, and it's one of the things where we create these stories in our mind. We almost become our own villains in our own story, where we're like, well, if I'm not helping them, that means I don't love them, or they're going to think that I don't love them, or I'm not being a good daughter or a good spouse or a good girlfriend or a good friend.
Yeah.
We're telling ourselves this stuff, and it just starts eating at us, right? And we start thinking, oh my God, I have to do this to almost prove yourself indirectly
Yeah.
that you do love them. This is how we show our love, by doing things, right? We show our love not only vocally, but by doing our actions, because actions speak louder than words, and that is how we like to prove our love to someone, is by doing what they need to for them to survive. And it takes a toll mentally, emotionally, physically,
Yeah.
everything. So I know you said you had your aha moment, but was it kind of to living your mother's life that made you really have that moment?
I think that's a really good point. I think like recently within the past week, coming into this chapter of tea time and thinking about what I was going to say, it really made me think, what am I going to say? Like, what is my stance? What am I trying to communicate with people? And it really made me take a step back again and think, okay, well, what's really going on in my brain? Like, what's causing me to want to talk about this subject of isolation? And I think that's exactly right. Just realizing that I was taking on my mom's characteristics that weren't healthy, and realizing that they aren't healthy, and taking a step back and changing the way that I think and see relationships now. Um, I think I'm going in a little bit of a circle.
No, you're totally fine. So,
Sorry.
so you shared with us that you kind of lost some friendships and stuff. Was that because you were so consumed with helping, let's say, a relationship and your father's relationship, that it kind of happened naturally, or was it an intentional thing that you isolated yourself?
I think it very much so happened naturally. I think I was just spending so much energy on, past relationship, on my dad, on trying to figure out, my job and how to better myself there. All this energy is just getting dumped out, dumped out, dumped out. And the last thing on my mind at the end of the day is, oh, like I want to reconnect with my friends. Like I just want to chat with one of my girlfriends. Like I was just so empty by the end of the day that it didn't matter anymore what made me feel good or happy or fulfilled. It was just like a survival mode almost. And I think a lot of times people look at that like um as far as realizing that, like, people always say like, oh, you're isolating yourself, like just stop it, just don't do it. And it's something that can like, yes, it can be something that's sudden, and someone dealing with depression or something isolates themselves, but it can be something that creeps in silently that you don't notice till years down the line. So I think that that's kind of how it happened for me. It's just little by little I was kind of isolating myself in my relationship with my dad, in work, and through trying to please all these people in my life, I isolated myself slowly but surely, and definitely had to have that moment. It took a pandemic for me to just stop and look at my life and see, okay, yes, these people are important in your life. However, you're losing yourself. It's not your life anymore.
And it
So
has nothing to do with your lack of love for that person. Like, nothing to do about them. And it's funny because I had a friend who told me one time, I was venting to her, and I was telling her about me being selfish. And she goes, Tiara, what is wrong with being selfish? What is wrong about caring about yourself? When does society make caring about ourselves a bad thing? And so when she told me this, maybe me, I overanalyze everything. I think about everything. And I started thinking like, oh my God, she's right. And I think with this pandemic, because all we've had to do is be on social media, and all these influencers or these people who do these graphic design things and these captions and all these cute things, I think self-love was the highlight of 2020. Uh,
Yeah.
Trying to find out how, as individuals, as humans, can we show ourselves that self-love. It's one thing to say, oh, I love myself. Okay, but what are you doing to show that you love yourself? You know?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. It's how you say, love is blind. And you were blinded by love. You were blinded by love with your relationship. You were blinded by love with, your relationship with your father, and that you got so consumed with loving them that you lost your love for yourself, and you don't even realize it. And that's the crazy thing, because like
Yeah.
over and over again, I love myself, I love myself. But it's like, okay, what are you doing to take care of yourself, your mind, your body, your soul? What is
Mhm.
it that you're putting into your insides to like put these, it's like planting the seed. Like, are you watering yourself? No,
Yeah.
you're letting yourself fucking dry up and die. Like, I know
Yes.
it's super morbid, but
Exactly what we were doing.
yeah, it's true. And um caring about yourself should never be selfish, and putting yourself
Never.
first. And looking back, it's one of those things where people have said, if when this pandemic ends, if it ever ends, which I hope it does end eventually, you want to look back and be like, this is how far I came during that time. I lived during a pandemic, and look how much growth I have had. Hayley, just imagine where you could have still been if you didn't have that aha moment.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be
Yeah.
having this conversation right now, because you probably wouldn't have had the strength to come on here and tell your story, because you wouldn't have known that you were having, I'm not gonna say issues or concerns, but you wouldn't have known that you were in that situation.
Yeah. I would still be doing what I was doing. Absolutely. Accommodating, the people around me to make them happy. And I'm thankful. Like, I'm sad that it took a pandemic to get to this point, but I'm so thankful because now it's just like I realize the importance of self-love. I know it sounds like such a cliche thing, but it's so important because if you don't love yourself, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't do the things that make you happy, make your soul happy, keep you healthy, then the people in your life, you aren't going to be able to help them. Like, it's just going to be a toxic situation because you aren't putting that time and nourishment and love into yourself. So how are you going to put that into other people? It's always going to end up probably an empty, toxic situation.
I loved when you said this during our other conversation. Take care of yourself before others, or you're going to lose yourself.
Yes.
And you admitted that you lost yourself. For however many years that you had been isolated, you lost yourself. Was it hard for you to find out the things that you loved? Or was it like, oh yeah, I love doing this, or I love doing that? Did you have to do some like soul searching to
Yeah. Yeah.
interest?
I'm still doing it. There was a moment where I was talking with a friend and they were like, oh, well, like, what do you want to do? Like, what are your hobbies? Like, go out and do it. And I legit, and we even talked about this, I legit had a moment where I was like, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I do for fun. I've forgotten, just being isolated for so long in my mind, uh, just I didn't think, oh well, what do I want to do today? That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to make me feel fulfilled. So yeah, as of recently, lots of soul searching and looking at quotes, reading books. But the main thing that came to play was hiking, like getting outside and just being able to breathe. And if I was stressed that day, like I could up my hike and do a steep incline or run it, or also running became a thing for me. It was I never realized that I would love activities like that so much, but it just definitely is one of the things that I found that has given me a place to have my peaceful moments and my moments to kind of work out problems in my head, and um, healing moments too. You do a lot of thinking when you're out in nature, I found out. So a lot of, yeah, just thinking and soul searching and figuring out who Hayley is, and what do I want? And after I am in a place where I can figure that out, then I can start taking care of the people in my life that I care about most. But first, me, which has been kind of rough, having to only do what I can for my dad and then let him try and figure his way out in life. That's definitely a boundary that I had to put up recently. He didn't like it because that meant, grocery shopping for himself, figuring out, what he does if he runs out of money. Like, those were all things that I would step in and take care of. Like if he was running low on money, I'd just send him money to cover whatever he needed or keep him comfortable. And now that I'm not doing that, it's definitely making me grow, but also making him grow. And I think that's another important point to bring up is if you're doing everything for everyone around you, you're taking care of everything. And yes, you do that out of love, but a lot of times it can hurt the people around you because you're enabling them. So I think it's important to remember, they're never going to learn the lessons in life that they need to learn if you're constantly stepping in the way of their lessons.
No, I that's true, because even with leadership, I, when I was a green leader, I wanted to do everything my way because my way is going to be the right way. And
Yeah.
I quickly learned that none of my peers, none of my fellow leaders, none one underneath me was learning. And so when I took on the role as your leader, I delegated. Delegated a lot. I taught them that way they can, you guys could groom yourselves and grow yourselves, because what kind of leader was I going to be if I continue that? I'm not doing this, I'm not helping develop you and your skills and your leadership journey if I'm doing it all myself. And it goes along with pretty much everything in life, that, you have to be comfortable with asking for help. You have to be comfortable, delegating or assigning tasks, or however you want to put it, because then it does become too overwhelming. It does become so stressful, and then you become that person who's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And how many times when people would ask you, Hayley, how are you doing, I'm pretty sure you probably said, I'm fine, I'm good. When deep down inside you were so numb,
Yeah.
realize that you weren't fine, you weren't good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100%. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we kind of went through the journey of you breaking isolation and you discovering who you are as Hayley in your 30s.
Yes.
You kind of already have a game. You're going to care for yourself, and discover your likes, your desires all over again, because it's like a rebirth, right?
Yeah.
Are coming back to life and starting all over, starting new. And I think this is super exciting for you, because you're going to find out your likes, your dislikes. You're going to go on all kinds of adventures, and
I'm so ready. I'm so excited.
and once you do that, then you can go ahead and care for your father, or maybe another significant other along the line. But right now, your main focus is obviously you, which is great, and there's nothing wrong with that. And don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. But if you could give anyone advice who may be going through what you experience, and maybe they don't have as much courage, or they haven't had that aha moment to change their lifestyle, what advice would you give them?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think if you feel like any area of your life you feel numb or isolated in, it's definitely an area to look at. And as scary as it is, you do have the strength to take that step. Hopefully you have a good support system around you, like I did. But if you don't, it's worth it. It's worth it to take that step. It's worth it to face the thing that you're most scared of facing, which for me was um, facing the fact that I was missing out on my life. And how did I take control? How do I take control of my life again? A quote that actually really helped me start over and be a little bit, I think it really helped me because it helped me get the strength to start over. I'm 34 and I'm starting over. like it's never too late to start over. You could be in your 60s and start over, all that matters at the end of the day is, are you happy? Are you comfortable in your skin? Is your heart full? If it is, you're on the right track. If there's areas where you don't feel like that, then there needs to be some adjustments made. But I always really love this quote. It's by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's abbreviated a little bit. But it says, for what it's worth, it's never too late to be whoever you want to be. I hope you live a life you're proud of. And if you find that you're not, I hope you have the strength to start over. And I think that that is my mantra. I think that is what I'm living and what I hold on to. If I'm not living a life where I'm happy and feel loved and proud of, then I need to start over.
And that is such a great philosophy to have. And like you said, it can happen at any age. It can honestly, not to sound like a downer, but it can happen again.
Yeah.
I always think that with my marriage, my biggest thing is I never want to be just known as Sean and Tiara, or, Mrs. Harvey. Like, I hate when people, I know it sounds really bad, but I hate it when they call me, I always, like, even at work, I went by Champion because my name is Tiara Champion. And I'm a really big thing on identity. Thankfully, my husband and I, we know, okay, he loves action movies, but he knows chances are I'm not going to watch them because they give me too much anxiety, which for
Yeah.
me, he knows I'm a social butterfly. I used to love going out with friends, and he would rather stay at home. So we make sure that we still hold on to our individuality. We are still individual people at the end of the day, even though we're husband and wife. And then we have a shit ton of things that we love to do together. But
Yeah.
to make sure that we are still doing what he loves and what I love. And that goes with all relationships, friendships, and all. I mean, even if you have a best friend, doesn't mean you're going to hang out with them 24/7.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen because you guys you have your own interests, and you just got to hold on to those things.
Yeah. You got to do what fulfills you and fills your tank before you can bring other people into it.
Yeah, don't be adding other fishes from the sea. So,
Yes.
Miss Hayley, before we close this chapter up, is there anything else that you want to touch on in regards to breaking your isolation?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any key points to touch on. I just was hoping through me stepping out and talking about this, that it would help other people. It doesn't have to be exactly like my situation, but I hope that it helps people take a look at their lives and hopefully gives them a little bit of a push to be brave enough to change what they feel like needs to be changed.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, no matter how old you are, no matter what situation you're in, if you're isolated, if you're in a oh my God, words are really hard for me today.
It's all that caffeine in your tea.
Your viewers are going to be like, wait, does this girl not know how to speak? Like, what's going on? I mean, if you're in a...
Oh, wait, this is a point that I wanted to make up too. I think, especially with Disney right now, a lot of us are in a very scary place because Disney was always such a constant. I always thought that Disneyland would be there. They always told us Disney was going to be there for, your job. You could always come back. Right now, it's uncertain if our career at Disney is going to come back anytime soon, if at all. And I think that I was hoping through this, I actually thought of that quote too when I was getting fired at Disney. I just hope that people feel encouraged that this isn't the end of the line. You have gifts that you gave at Disney and love that you gave to people at Disney and made impact on people's lives. And Disney isn't the only place that you can do that. And I just want to encourage everyone that's going through a hard time in our department. I mean, and the company as a whole. It doesn't have to be just parades, entertainment. I'm sure it's hard on everyone to lose such a fun and fulfilling and magical job, but you can definitely take that and take it anywhere else. This isn't the end of the line. There's so many more opportunities for you out there to spread magic and love and joy, and take what we learned at Disney and put it into the real world somewhere else.
Where were you? Like, when did I get my call? On October 2nd? Where were you on October 2nd? Because I really needed that pep talk on that day. Because let me tell you, I thought my whole world like crumbled. Like, I was like, what do I do with my life now? I have nothing else going for me. I have been at Disney for 12 years. I've been a leader at Disney for like 11 years. What do I do?
Yeah.
But it's so true, and we are all, I always have said this, it takes a special and strong person to work at Disney. People say, oh, it's so much fun, you guys are playing, you guys are that. Okay, yeah, we have our moments, but at the end of the day, we still work. And not everyone and anyone could last a day as a cast member. And it's so true. Everything we learned, all the knowledge that we gained, the friendships, I mean, everything, we can take them elsewhere. And we should be excited to take that knowledge, right? We're not hoarding all the information. Obviously, there's certain Disney magic we can't share, but everything else, yeah, keep fighting the fight and keep going and keep thriving and keep pushing for more.
I think now more than ever, people need that in their lives, and we have the keys to that, and we can better lives, even if it isn't in a parade. It can be at the retail store that you're going into. It can be at Starbucks that you work at. I don't know where life has taken most of us as far as job wise, but definitely because of the pandemic, because of the madness of this world, I think that it's important that we take that heart and magic and share it with the people outside of Disney.
I love that. So beautiful. Like I said, you've been so inspiring since day one, and you continue to inspire so many people around you, Hayley. And even more so now, you have this crazy story to share to the world of your strength. And you're so resilient, and you didn't give up, which is amazing. And it just shows that you deserve a happy ending. You deserve that beautiful light at the end of the tunnel, and no one else is going to get you there but you.
And that was the part that I was forgetting for a long time. So I'm so happy to be here now, and you're going to make me cry. You're so sweet.
I love you so much, and
thank you
so much for sharing your journey with us. So let's go ahead and finish. My cup is full of lipstick, but let's go ahead and finish this chapter of chapter 29, Breaking Isolation. Let's take our last cheers. Cheers. Alrighty, thank you again for watching Tea Time with T and H on Tea Time with T, chapter 29, Breaking Isolation. Thank you.
for listening. Bye.